And what is up, boys and girls? We are live right now talking about the upcoming Slammiversary pay-per-view event that's going to be coming up on Sunday, June 15th, Father's Day. If you all aren't going to be able to check out that pay-per-view, you definitely want to be staying connected with us as we're going to be coming on this Sunday as soon as Slammiversary goes off the air with a special Slammiversary simulcast post-show, which you'll be able to catch right here live on YouTube at 10:45 p.m. Eastern or immediately after the pay-per-view concludes. We'll also be doing the simulcast over on our radio edition of the RCWR show over at blogtalkradio.com/the RCWR show. We have all the links available in the episode description right down below. So feel free to go in there and check out those links. And we got Father's Day right around the corner if you still need some last minute ideas. We had just launched a RCWR show store not too long ago. You might want to go on ahead and check it out. I do recommend the Lee Sanders Marinate on This t-shirt. Great for all occasions. Check that out when you guys get a moment. Hey, if you end up enjoying this piece, I definitely would love for you to go out of your way and make sure you give this piece a thumbs up. Leave those comments down below, and you can share this a number of ways by retweeting it, Facebooking it, Google Plusing it, as it's one of the many ways to spread a good word about our content. Let's go on ahead right now and let's talk about the TNA Slammiversary card as it stands right now. And you know what? We were originally supposed to talk about the Slammiversary card on our Thursday night edition of Impact Showdown, which is dedicated to covering Fallout from TNA Wrestling every single week, hook you guys up with TNA headlines. We were going to go in depth about the Slammiversary card, but I just had the strangest feeling that it made a lot of sense to just wait a day or two and try to give you all the most updated card. Because honestly, and I didn't say this out loud, but I should have, in the back of my mind, I felt that there was probably going to be a change somewhere in a big, big way. And indeed, there has been a change. As Friday, it was announced that as far as the main event match goes between Eric Young and MVP for the TNA World Heavyweight Championship, well, that match is no more. We'll get to that in just a little bit. I want to tease you guys with that for now. But as it stands, 10 p.m. Eastern for June 14th, 2014, here is how the final card for Slammiversary appears so far. And if there's any other changes that's to come after we're off the air leading into the pay-per-view, we'll definitely update you guys on Twitter at the RCWR show, our Facebook page at Infinity One Productions, and our website at infinityoneproductions.com. All the links again in the episode description down below. Let's go on ahead and let's jump right into it. All right, so first up we have Angelina Love taking on Gail Kim, singles match for the TNA Knockouts Championship. One of the first things that comes to my mind is, well, who's the referee going to be for this particular match? Is it going to be good old Stifler? Because it seems like every single time there is a match involving the beautiful people, Stifler is usually there to call it, and unfortunately Stifler messes up the job. You know what I would like to see actually happen in this particular match if I was booking it right, or maybe leading up to this match? I would love to see senior referee Earl Hebner say to Stifler, hey, there's a lot at stake right here, and I really have not been too pleased with the work that you've been doing the past several weeks. I'm watching you very carefully. If you blow any major spots in this match, if you don't call this right down the middle, you get distracted, I'm telling you, you and me, we're going to have to reevaluate your job as a referee. So get out there and make sure that you hit a home run. Now, we could see some type of a angle play about where, unfortunately, Stifler, he just is not able to do this right, that he's screws up again in a nutshell, and this could no doubt maybe set up referee Earl Hebner to have some type of a conversation with Stifler, and maybe ultimately we could maybe see the return of Terrell, as I'm really kind of getting the impression that maybe, just maybe, on Slammiversary night, we could be seeing the return of Terrell. Don't mind that little noise in the background, trying to make sure we don't have any more distractions here, as I love flowing with my train of thought right here. I'm really getting the impression that we're probably going to be seeing Terrell return. Could it happen as early as Slammiversary? Dixie Carter had put out an interesting tweet about maybe 2 weeks ago basically saying she's ready to see Taryn Terrell return. How about you? Would you guys like it? So I don't think she's just name dropping for the hell of it. It's very well possible we could be seeing Taryn Terrell return at Slammiversary. I'm hoping that she does return at Slammiversary. But I can see a scenario playing out where Angelina Love, once again, thanks to the whole shenanigans by Velvet Sky at ringside and all that, we could see a scenario play out where maybe Angelina Love is able to retain the championship. She got it not that long ago, right? Didn't she get it at like the last TNA pay-per-view or something like that? There's another scenario that kind of pans out in my mind too. We could see Gail Kim become the Knockouts champion, and we could see her become the Knockouts champion for a very good reason, and it could happen later on in the night. Marinate on that for a little bit, and we're actually going to come back to that, and I'll explain a little bit more. But for now, let's go to our next match. We got Austin Aries taking on Kenny King. Singles match. Winner advances to the TNA World Heavyweight Championship match. I knew this was going to happen. I should have opened my mouth and I should have said something, but I just wanted to kick back and wait to see how things played out, because originally it was supposed to be Austin Aries taking on Kenny King. I can't recall what the match stipulation was, like if it was just going to be a straight up singles match, but originally I looked at that match and I just thought, okay, that's kind of interesting. But what was even more interesting was how, with regards to this match, I can't help but also talk about the Samoa Joe versus Bobby Lashley match. As I was looking at both of those two respected matches and saying to myself, well, wait a minute, Eric Young really needed help on Thursday night's Impact Wrestling. Where the heck was Samoa Joe? Where the heck was Austin Aries when they counted the most? I'm not quite sure, understand what's going on right here. And I just thought it was a little bit weird, but now that things have kind of fallen into place the way that it has with regards to the main event match, I'm actually all fine for this, okay? So, again, in order to talk about the TNA World Heavyweight Championship match for the title, we have to talk about that main event match itself, because breaking news, in case you guys may not know, you haven't been keeping track of what's been going on the wrestling beat, MVP has actually been pulled out of that main event match for the TNA Championship, which is why we're seeing these two matches between Austin Aries versus Kenny King, Samoa Joe versus Bobby Lashley, where the respective winners for those matches move on to the main event match to face EY for the title. It looks as though possibly MVP, he hasn't gotten the green light, as we told you guys, and we've been keeping track of this for as long as we possibly could. He was injured a couple of weeks back at an event in the UK, and he did something wrong with his knee. He thought he had popped it or whatever. He had got some MRIs done. Turned out the condition was just a tad bit worse, but not too extreme. He basically had to get some surgery done. And basically, last I heard, because he had made an appearance on Chris Jericho's podcast, and I actually had read a transcript of highlights from that interview. MVP just basically said, hey, me and TNA Wrestling, we're taking it on a day-to-day basis. Hopefully we'll know before Slammiversary whether or not, I'm actually going to be doing this match or not. So it looks like, as of right now, at least on this night, it looks as though possibly MVP may not be doing anything physical with regards to that main event match, which is a bit unfortunate, because I really was kind of under the impression that we are probably going to be getting a new TNA World Heavyweight Champion. I'll explain a little bit more later on when we get ready to talk about that main event match. But with regards to the winners that's probably going to be advancing, let's first start off with Austin Aries versus Kenny King. I wonder, if I was booking this right, I think MVP is still going to have something to do with the Slammiversary pay-per-view. I do. And I think he's going to try to do everything he can to have his boys back. I mean, if this is the be-all, end-all, if this is like the king of TNA wrestling, if this is the guy that has all the power, after all, it's money, power, respect. That's pretty much the name of his stable and all that. then he's got to have his guys' backs. And I just think it would make sense if we had saw Bobby Lashley and Kenny King advance. That way, it kind of makes you say to yourself, okay, so basically the odds are not really in Eric Young's favor. It's basically 2 to 1 that, he could walk out as the TNA champion. But again, the odds aren't really in his favor because it's 2 on 1. There's no telling what type of mindset Bobby Lashley and Kenny King are going to have going into this match. So I think just to kind of make things interesting, you gotta have it go down that way. No disrespect to Samoa Joe, definitely no disrespect to Kenny King. I think the work that they've been doing in recent weeks has been on point. Hey, I'm happy with the fact that Samoa Joe is back and everything. Would I like to see Samoa Joe kind of go back to his old roots and everything, be that old killing machine Joe, indestructible Joe and all that? Yeah, I'd love to see it happen, but I think there's going to be a big difference when you look at these two particular matches where the winner advances to the main event. I think with regards to the Austin Aries Kenny King, I think Kenny King, I'm picturing the match to be very technical. It's going to be fast paced. And it's just going to be one of those matches where Kenny King, just by a strand, he's just barely going to be able to escape Austin Aries. Could there possibly be a little bit of shenanigans happening at ringside courtesy of MVP? It's possible, but I don't think it's really needed. I think you just let those two guys go in and just have fun in the ring, tell a great story, but again, set it up in a way where Kenny King just barely escapes with the victory. Maybe he could do a cheap roll-up pin or a grabbing of the tights to do it. But I think it's going to be a very good technical, fast-paced type of match, whereas opposed to Samoa Joe, Bobby Lashley, that's going to be a little bit more slow. Uh, it's definitely going to be physical. And I could actually, if I was booking that right, I would like to see something come about where maybe MVP tries to cause up a little bit of a stir. Maybe he could be at ringside. I see something coming about where if they do this right, here's the thing. I don't think Bobby Lashley needs to just get a squash victory over Samoa Joe because the guy just came back like about 2 weeks ago and all that. I need to see Samoa Joe get screwed. I need to see him get screwed in a way that will still make him look very strong as he's back in TNA wrestling, and you can kind of make that argument that, hey, Samoa Joe, he's in the hunt. He's in the hunt to become the TNA World Heavyweight Champion again, but he's got to go through a few loopholes for money, power, respect in order to try to get there and everything. I kind of like that because remember, and this is where TNA Wrestling needs to brilliantly kind of connect the dots. Remember, Samoa Joe never did get his rematch for the TNA Championship. He never did. Remember that. So keep that in the back of your mind. So that's why I'm saying with regards to this match with Bobby Lashley, it needs to end in a way where Samoa Joe kind of looks as though he got screwed, but he's still strong. You can't just have him lose cleanly to Bobby Lashley. I'm sorry, you just not right now. You just can't do it right now. We'll talk about that main event match in just a little bit. The Von Erichs, third generation or 3G, Marshall and Ross with their dad, Kevin Von Erich. They are all going to be making an appearance for the TNA Wrestling promotion for the very first time. Who they're going to be taking on, that's yet to be determined. But looking at the current card right now, if I were a betting man, I say feed them to the bromance, why don't you? Or better yet, actually, yeah, I would say feed them to the bromance because that's really the only team that's free right now. So it looks like for you bromance fans, we're going to be seeing them. I would hope. I mean, now look, things happen. TNA go in a totally different direction, but I mean, hey, it just kind of screams bromance right there. I would actually be kind of shocked if they didn't go with the bromance, and maybe at the same time they can kind of intertwine Mike Knox's menagerie stable and all that. Who knows? I don't think it's really needed. If anything, let the menagerie have the night off. We don't really need to see an appearance by them, right? I don't think we need them, but You know, I'm not going to make a prediction as far as that match goes. I'm going to be kicking back and I'm going to be watching that very carefully just to see what happens. I mean, we know they're definitely going to be doing their thing as far as wrestling goes. Let's see what happens. Do I think they'll be victorious? I would like for them to be victorious, but I'm not going to jump out there and make a prediction because this could be a segment where maybe they don't wrestle. Maybe something weird and improv happens, and I think that's just going to be a really great segment to watch, especially if you're a fan of old school wrestling. You remember the name of the Von Erichs and everything. That's just going to be one of those. Just kick back, relax, have yourself a nice drink, have some popcorn, just enjoy it for what it's worth. All right, we have Mr. Anderson taking on James Storm. That is going to be a singles match. One of these matches looks like it's changed. Like as far as Mr. Anderson, James Storm, I could have sworn it was something else. Very weird right there. Oh, I know what happened. I think I was the one that said last week that it would be nice if maybe we saw some type of a bullhorn gimmick match or something like that, since they're going to be in Texas and everything. Maybe that'll still happen. Who knows? James Storm, Mr. Anderson. These guys have been going at it for the past couple of weeks. Mr. Anderson has been going back to like classic Mr. Anderson years back in TNA when he was just involved in some of the most hilarious segments. He's been doing some really great stuff within the past couple of weeks. I'll definitely give him that. Yeah, I'm definitely intrigued by this matchup. I'm looking forward to seeing what happens. Just thinking about everything that's been going on between Anderson and James Storm, how they've been going back and forth, with James Storm really kind of kicking things off, beating down on Mr. Anderson. You also got to consider the fact that one of the last times Anderson and Storm had hooked up, we had saw Anderson come out to challenge James Storm to a match, or maybe it was the other way around, but the end result I recall was Mr. Anderson getting his ass whipped. And then that favor was returned a couple of weeks later when Mr. Anderson ran into James Storm at a bar. The two of them were having some drinks and all that, and basically Anderson was just using that as a cheap ploy to get Storm drunk and beat the holy crap out of him. So they're somewhat kind of even. But then I remember James Storm coming out the next week after that, or 2 weeks after that, and he actually had the upper hand on Anderson as he beat the crap out of him. So kind of considering the way things kind of ended right there, I think it's time for Anderson to come out on top. I'm actually going to go with Anderson for the victory. Willow, he's going to have a bit at ringside as he takes on Magnus with Bram. Don't be too surprised if maybe this match ends up becoming a tag team match. I can see something like that coming about. For what it's worth, regardless, I see Team Willow picking up the victory. I actually do not really care about this match. I thought as the weeks had begun and we saw Bram come in and he was trying to help out Magnus and everything, I really thought it was going to be going somewhere. I was really kicking back, wanting to enjoy the ride, but I haven't really been enjoying it now that enough time has passed. It's definitely off to a rocky start. Willow, aka Jeff Hardy, we all have been talking about this weeks after weeks. I see you guys' comments. You guys are like, oh man, Lee, what is going on with Willow, man? Can we please get Jeff Hardy back? Why do we have Willow in the first place? Can there be some type of storyline to explain why Jeff Hardy became Willow? I'm with you guys 100% on that, not to rehash everything, but I just cannot get into this match, unfortunately. I'm really hoping that, like, storyline put to the side, that these guys are able to deliver. I think what's really exhausted is the right word. I think what's exhausted the hell out of me with regards to this particular match, we've seen these guys go at it for several weeks, with the end result being Willow getting his butt handed to him. So it's a little hard for me to kind of process this match and really be that excited to see it go down when we've seen them go at it a handful of times already on Impact Television. But I think regardless of the end result, Just the fact that the monster Abyss is back and all that. Ah, but then again, this new Magnus has supposedly awoken and all this other stuff. No. I need to see Willow and Abyss win. Just the fact that Abyss is back, Willow's got his butt whipped for enough weeks as it is. I gotta see Willow and Abyss get a little bit of mojo back, and that's on a serious tip. Next up, we got Bully Ray taking on Ethan Carter III, Texas Death Style match. Wonder how much of a role Dixie Carter is going to play in this. Seems like the past several weeks, TNA has been playing with the idea of a Dixie Carter going through a table. Would Dixie Carter actually go through with this? Have we now gotten to a point right now where this beautiful, attractive woman is willing in her, what, late 40s now to be put through a table? Is she really capable of going through that type of physicality? Well, if push comes to shove and it's going to happen on Slammiversary, we'll know. But it really seems like TNA has been playing with that notion that sooner or later we're going to see Dixie Carter go through a table. I can't help but just think that maybe she's going to be at ringside to kind of watch all this go down. And the way it's looking right now, Dixie Carter, other than Ethan Carter III, there's Rockstar Spud, so it's probably going to be a serious numbers game for Bully Ray. But, despite the fact that it could possibly be a numbers game, I'm going to jump out there. Look for Brooke Tessmacher to maybe make some type of a cameo appearance and try to have Bully Ray's back. After all, in Impact Wrestling this week, her and Bully Ray, they shared the ring at the same time for the first time pretty much since he went that whole dark, evil, fire, hell, brimstone thing. Weird stuff with the shades and all that. And he basically apologized to Brooke, telling her he was sorry for how he treated her towards the end once Aces and Eights was no more and everything. And it seems like once that was officially squashed and everything, I don't know, just kind of playing back on that, we could see some type of an angle play out where it's kind of looking as though with Dixie Carter at ringside, Rockstar Spud at ringside, they could be trying to do their best to help out Ethan Carter and everything. And I mean, good timing right there for Brooke Tessmacher to come in, try to help out. I could definitely see her uh, roughing up the hell out of Rockstar Spud. I thought she was about to own him on Impact this week, but I can definitely see Brooke taking care of him. And then it would kind of come down to Brooke Tessmacher and Dixie Carter. Now that I'm kind of bringing up Brooke Tessmacher there involved in that segment, do you guys possibly think TNA would be willing to go so far as to maybe borrow is the right word I want to use right here? You could take it however way you want to take it. But would TNA maybe borrow a page out of WWE's playbook with Stephanie McMahon and Brie Bella and basically have Brooke Tessmacher, Dixie Carter face to face, a little bit of a standoff. Brooke Tessmacher just bitch slaps the hell out of Dixie Carter, all in the name of trying to help out Bully Ray and everything. Do you think that maybe TNA would go that far as just to try to help Bully Ray go over? Because the ultimate end result I see happening is Ethan Carter III going through a table. I think this whole Ethan Carter talk, because remember, a couple of weeks ago, they also brought up a very interesting point, which I always forget about because that's how much time passes and that's how quiet TNA has been with this. But apparently, Ethan Carter III is still undefeated in singles competition. And I think they brought that up most recently, maybe 2 weeks ago. I think they brought that up for a very good reason. I think we're finally going to see Ethan Carter III get his first defeat, and I think it's going to come at the hands of Bully Ray. So that's how I'm looking at it. Whether or not we're going to see that whole thing play about with Tessmacher, Dixie, who knows? Whether or not we're going to see maybe Dixie Carter go through a wooden table, we'll know in a little bit. But I tell you what, if they don't do the Dixie Carter spot, as far as her going through a table at Slammiversary, I have a feeling they might be having that plan for their New York City events. I think if you're gonna, because New York, man, you really gotta pull all the stops for that New York crowd. So don't be too surprised if it ends up happening that way. But once again, Bully Ray for the victory. Eric Young, main event match, three-way, steel cage match, TNA World Heavyweight Championship. As I mentioned earlier, I'm looking at Bobby Lashley and I am looking at Kenny King to advance. You know, originally when it was Eric Young versus MVP, I think, folks, we were going to have a new TNA champion. Just the fact of what's been going on with the TNA ratings the past several weeks. I mean, look, I don't need to bore you guys with the statistics, okay? You guys just need to go do your own research. TNA's been struggling. Some of you guys may not care about the ratings and all that, and that's good for you. I don't care about the ratings myself personally. I want to be entertained. I want a really good product. I want to be able to see really great matches, not so much heavy on the storylines, okay? But I do love a good story that's told. But at the end of the day, ratings do matter because it's all about the money, baby. It's all about the money. And Eric Young has not been doing that well since he's become the TNA World Heavyweight Champion. He's been involved in some of the most lowest segments for a TNA World Heavyweight Champion in the company's history. And that really says a lot. And, you know, originally when it was MVP, I was really under the impression that with that match, it was going to be MVP going over Eric Young. Money, power, respect, stable comes out on top and everything. But then it kind of goes back to, wait a minute, Dixie Carter has some type of a bombshell, as apparently she had a successful meeting with the TNA board of directors earlier in the week. Maybe, just maybe, it was going to have something to do with MVP being stripped of his job, maybe being temporarily suspended for a couple of weeks. Who knows? And I think we still might end up hearing and seeing that and everything. I definitely feel MVP is going to play a part in this match. He's probably going to be watching some of the stuff that's going to be going on at ringside. I see Eric Young retaining the championship when it's all said and done. Now, I'm not going to BS you guys. I really do. I think because of what went down with MVP, Eric Young is going to retain his championship, and he's going to be champion just a little while longer. It's very well possible, depending on how quickly MVP recovers and everything. If he's not already recovered now, which I doubt, because then he probably would still be in this match. So maybe a couple of weeks down the road, or maybe as TNA Wrestling is doing their thing in New York City, maybe we could see a match come about on Impact Television where MVP takes on Eric Young for the championship, and you have a title switch that way. Who knows? Anything can happen. But I definitely am seeing Eric Young retain. Now, Olympic gold medalist Kurt Angle is supposed to be making his return to the TNA promotion for the first time since he went out on injury to announce who's going to be the third inductee into the TNA Hall of Fame. And, you know, I was marinating on this the last time that I was with you guys on Thursday night. And I said to you guys, you know what? Maybe it's going to be Samoa Joe. I'm going to throw a curveball out there at you guys. I think it's possibly going to be, if not Samoa Joe, I'm looking at Gail Kim. And I'm going to tell you the reason why with regards to Gail Kim. First of all, you longtime TNA wrestling fans, do I really need to tell you why it needs to be Gail Kim? No. But to our newer listeners, those that might not be that familiar with the TNA product, Gail Kim has done a lot for the wrestling industry. Up and down the independent circuits, up in Canada. First go round that she came through WWE, first go round that she came to TNA Wrestling, which was back in like 2005. She was there for a few years. Then she went back to the WWE. Didn't really last that long. That was about a cup of coffee. Came on back to TNA, and I mean she's just been back ever since. Multi-time knockouts champion. Just a decorated career. when you really think about Gail Kim. Let's make sure we show her some love. PWI, Pro Wrestling Illustrated, they ranked her number one out of the best 50 female wrestlers. Most recently, like 2012. Knockouts Tag Team Champion one time with Madison Rayne, three-time Knockouts Champion. Knockout of the Year in 2007, Queen of the Ring, one-time WWE Women's Champion. Very impressive resume that she has. She's done a lot for the Knockouts division, and I would not be surprised if TNA Wrestling, I think they're probably, this would be a good shocker, I must admit, because I think a lot of fans, they're probably going to be expecting a male, and they're probably going to be looking at Samoa Joe and everything, but just looking at the current roster right now, I think it's safe to be in agreement. It ain't going to be no Jeff Jarrett, so let's get that out the way. It damn sure ain't going to be no Christopher Daniels. It's not going to be AJ Styles. Just looking at the roster for what it's worth right now, I'm honing it down to two people. If it's not going to be Samoa Joe, it's going to be Gail Kim. And I think, honestly, Gail Kim needs to get it. I really do. She's done a lot. I mean, when you really think about her background, I mean, you guys know who her boyfriend is, right? And if you don't know who her boyfriend is, go do some research. I can't tell you this. He's like a multi-millionaire. She really doesn't need to be doing this. She could just be kicking back, having bonbons, enjoying a nice, warm campfire or whatever, eating sushi, whatever, man. Because I know she, and I'm not saying that to sound racist, by the way. I've seen interactions with her on Twitter where she's eating all types of different Japanese, Oriental food and all that from time to time. Most recently, I saw her talk about some great sushi she had and everything. But she really doesn't need this line work as far as wrestling goes. But she just keeps giving back. And I mean, she's one of the most coolest people there is. There's nothing but good praise that's been said about her from all of her colleagues that's been able to have the fortunate pleasure of taking her on in the ring over the years. And honestly, I don't think there's one more fitting or deserving than Gail Kim, which is why, if you go back earlier, that's why I said that maybe Gail Kim is going to be the one to win that Knockouts championship. That way, when they get ready to make that announcement, which, by the way, I wonder how they're going to do the announcement this year. Are they going to do the whole awkward heels and baby faces all together at the top of the stage ramp as they make the announcement? Or are they going to wait maybe later on in the night? I wonder exactly how they're going to go about that. Honestly, I hope that they keep it simple. They just have Kurt Angle come out, and maybe they could just have, I don't know. That's going to be tricky now that I think about it. I really don't want to see the awkward moment of the heels and the baby faces all coming out to take in the moment. I would really hope that, if anything, Kurt Angle just comes out to make the announcement, and then, we get introduced to the next Hall of Fame inductee. They say a few things or whatever, and that's basically it. The sooner they get it out the way, the better, I feel. But let me know what you guys think about that. Are you sold on Gail Kim, or are you looking at Samoa Joe more? Or maybe you have your own idea on who you'd like to see go into the Hall of Fame. Let me know your reasons why, and we'll definitely make sure you guys are part of our live post show when we come on this Sunday. One more time, though, let's take it from the bottom and work our way to the top. Once again, I'm looking at Gail Kim becoming the new Knockouts champion. Oh, and by the way, we actually missed one important match, and I can't believe I almost forgot about it. The six-way ladder match for the TNA X Division Championship, as we have Sonata defending against Manic, Tigre Uno, Crazy Steve, Eddie Edwards, Davey Richards. Sonata, that's my man. Enough said. I love Sonata. You love Sonata? I hope you do. I'm going with Sonata personally. Austin Aries taking on Kenny King. I got Kenny King advancing as winner, advances to the TNA World Heavyweight Championship match. I see Anderson going over James Storm. Willow with Abyss, much needed victory. They need some of that good mojo Joe back. I got them going over Magnus with Brahm. Bobby Lashley will go over Samoa Joe to be the final participant in that triple threat match for the TNA World Heavyweight Championship. Bully Ray gets a little bit closer to getting the ultimate revenge as he goes over Ethan Carter III, Texas Death Style match. And I see Eric Young retaining his TNA Championship in a three-way steel cage match. And once again, for your TNA Hall of Fame inductee, it's down to Samoa Joe or Gail Kim. Then again, it could be a 2-in-1 night. Both of those people could be announced. So be on the lookout for that. I definitely want to hear your thoughts. Post those comments down below, and we'll definitely make sure that whatever you have to say will make you be part of our Slammiversary simulcast, which you'll be able to catch this Sunday night, Father's Day, June 15th at 10:45 p.m. Eastern, or as soon as TNA Slammiversary goes off the air. Our phone lines will be open, social media, the whole 9 yards. You guys know how we usually do it on pay-per-view night, so make sure that you kick on back and you hang out with us, because I definitely want to hear from you guys that see the Slammiversary show. And if it's your first time checking us out, hey man, I'd love to have you subscribe to us so that you never miss out on all the great content we do for you here on a weekly basis, whether it's reviews, great interviews, breaking news. Got a little bit of something for everybody. So, hey, make sure you go out of your way. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button so you never miss out on all the great content we do for you guys. Speaking of great content, we had scored the first interview since his WWE release in Brodus Clay. And if you guys have not been checking that out yet, make sure you show that some love, as it's actually on our YouTube channel right now. The interview, and I wasn't even aware of it until I was remixing it in post-production. It was like about an hour long, but it was some really great stuff. I've been receiving a lot of great praise from you all in the wrestling community, especially you fans of Brodus Clay, letting me know how much you had really enjoyed that interview. I can't take all the credit, as I had a really great dance partner in Brodus Clay, but I do thank you all for the very kind words. But if you haven't checked out that Brodus Clay interview, it's available on our YouTube channel right now. So do please make sure you go out of your way to show that some love. I have a feeling that it's going to be blowing up all over the place as far as wrestling news websites and all that goes on Sunday. So you're definitely going to be hearing about it all over the place. So I want to prepare you guys, okay? But yeah, definitely go out of your way and show that some love when you can, all right? And that is going to do it. All right, until I see you guys for our Slammiversary simulcast post show right here on YouTube and also on Blog Talk Radio, please be safe, be kind to one another, and I will see you next go round. Everybody, take care.